adored and loved everything that came with the royal family. So, you know, over the years, I've done a lot with the Prince of Wales.
The world expected David Beckham's knighthood ceremony to be a moment of pure celebration, football glory crowned with royal recognition. But what should have been a straightforward honor quickly turned into a swirl of whispers, speculation, and one unforgettable remark. Between Catherine's elegant presence, Meghan's surprising connection, and Beckham's own unexpected words, the story became about far more than medals and ceremony. What really happened that day, and why are so many people convinced it means more than meets the eye? Was Beckham's laughter a slip of the tongue, or a message in disguise? Join us as we uncover more. Beckham and the Royals. For decades, David Beckham has been more than just a footballer. He has been a symbol of Britain itself. His rise from a working-class boy in East London to the global stage of Manchester United, Real Madrid, and the England national team is the stuff of legend. But beyond the pitch, Beckham has cultivated a relationship with the British establishment that few athletes achieve. And at the heart of that relationship stands the royal family. Beckham's history with royalty stretches back over 20 years. He was among the privileged few invited to Prince William's 2011 wedding to Catherine Middleton, now the Princess of Wales. Later, he and Victoria Beckham also attended Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding in 2018. Beckham has worked with royal-backed charities, stood shoulder to shoulder with Prince William in campaigns against illegal wildlife trade, and lent his name to causes that aligned with the monarchy's global image of duty and service. In Britain, he's not just golden balls, as Victoria once jokingly called him. He's a national treasure. That's not all. Then there's Catherine, Princess of Wales. Few figures in modern monarchy embody diplomacy quite like her. Elegant, composed, and deeply committed to charitable work, Catherine has built an image of accessibility without losing regal gravitas. She has represented Britain abroad with dignity, often earning headlines for her quiet strength and ability to connect with people from all walks of life. The Beckhams have crossed paths with Catherine on several occasions, most notably at charitable galas and high-profile cultural events. Each meeting reinforced the sense that Beckham occupied a rare space, respected by royalty, but also beloved by ordinary Britons. Yet no royal-adjacent story in recent years is complete without Meghan Markle. Since stepping back with Prince Harry, Meghan has carefully curated her public presence, sometimes aligning with royal traditions, other times creating parallel platforms. She has appeared at charity events reminiscent of her royal past, launched initiatives that echo her days in the UK, and remained a figure whose presence in royal-related spaces always sparks debate. In Hollywood and beyond, Meghan and Harry remain globally recognized as royals in exile, their every move analyzed for hints of reconciliation or rivalry, which is why Meghan's supposed link to Beckham's knighthood event raised so many eyebrows. Unlike Catherine, whose attendance was natural and expected, Meghan's name floating around the royal-adjacent occasion was puzzling. Would she truly accept an invitation that pulled her back into the orbit of a family she has so publicly distanced herself from? And if so, who extended the hand? It gets more interesting. To understand why this moment mattered, one must first understand what a knighthood means. Rooted in medieval chivalry, knighthood once symbolized martial valor, loyalty, and service to the crown. Today, it has evolved into one of the highest civilian honors bestowed by the monarch, recognizing extraordinary contributions to the nation. Actors, scientists, philanthropists, and yes, sporting heroes have all been knighted. It is an honor that connects modern achievers with centuries of tradition. For Beckham, the knighthood was more than just a personal milestone. It was the crowning achievement of a lifetime, dedicated not only to sport, but also to charity and cultural ambassadorship. His footballing career, decorated with league titles and a Champions League trophy, already secured his place in sporting history. But his ongoing charity work, including decades of advocacy for UNICEF, positioned him as more than an athlete. He became a humanitarian, a global symbol of British goodwill. In the eyes of the establishment, that blend of fame, service, and dignity made him a perfect candidate. The venue was nothing short of spectacular. The gilded halls, the historic insignia, the quiet reverence of ceremony, all served to frame Beckham's honor as both personal and national. Distinguished guests from politics, sport, and culture filled the seats, but all eyes eventually drifted to a familiar royal presence, Catherine, Princess of Wales. Her role, though understated, was symbolic. Catherine did not need to deliver speeches or orchestrate grand gestures. Her very presence added gravitas, signaling the monarchy's acknowledgement of Beckham not just as an athlete, but as a statesman of British culture. Cameras caught her smiling warmly as Beckham knelt to receive his honor, a subtle but powerful endorsement. To the public, this image represented two pillars of modern Britain, royalty and football, standing side by side in mutual respect. Yet ceremonies such as these often hold as much in their margins as in their main stage. Beyond the scripted bows and handshakes, smaller moments hinted at deeper narratives. As Beckham rose, there was a flicker of expression, subtle, almost missed, captured by eagle-eyed attendees. A look exchanged, a pause, a quiet laugh. It wasn't part of the official program, but it spoke volumes about Beckham's mindset at that moment. The invite from Meghan. Even before Beckham's knighthood ceremony, whispers began circling through social and traditional media alike. Meghan Markle had extended an invitation, but the invite wasn't for just any function. It was, according to sources close to her camp, a private gathering in Montecito meant to spotlight an upcoming charity initiative linked to children's education. On the surface, it seemed routine. Meghan and Prince Harry often host or headline philanthropic events in California, and inviting global figures of Beckham's stature would hardly be unusual. Yet the timing made it anything but ordinary. It was something more. The supposed invite arrived not long before Beckham's knighthood ceremony, a moment that would place him back in direct orbit with the British royal household. The juxtaposition raised questions. Was Meghan's outreach an olive branch, a strategic move, or something entirely different? And just as importantly, did Beckham accept, ignore, or politely decline? The public's reaction to the mere mention of Meghan's invitation was electric. British tabloids splashed headlines across their pages, dissecting every possibility. Social media erupted into speculation, with hashtags like Meghan's move and Beckham invite trending within hours. Some saw it as a calculated attempt by Meghan to stay relevant in royal-adjacent headlines. Others suggested it was a genuine gesture of goodwill, perhaps even a subtle way of signaling that she and Harry were not as isolated from their old circles as many assumed. For Beckham's supporters, the conversation was more nuanced. He has long maintained an image of diplomacy, friendly with many, yet careful not to be caught in political or personal feuds. Accepting Meghan's invite could have been perceived as aligning with the Sussexes during a time when their relationship with the monarchy remains strained. Declining, on the other hand, risked being interpreted as a cold dismissal. In either case, the optics were tricky. Why, then, did people find the very notion of Meghan reaching out so surprising? The answer lies in the history, or lack thereof, between Beckham and Meghan. While the Beckhams had attended both royal weddings, their closest ties seemed to be with William and Catherine, not with Harry and Meghan. In fact, reports over the years suggested that Beckham and Victoria's relationship with the Sussexes cooled not long after their wedding, allegedly due to a misunderstanding involving media leaks. Though never officially confirmed, those whispers painted a picture of distance, if not quiet tension. Against that backdrop, Meghan's invite felt almost out of place. To some it was unexpected, to others it was bold. It wasn't just about extending a hand, it was about stepping into a moment that belonged, in the public's imagination, to Beckham and the royals in Britain, not Meghan and Harry in California. Then, just when things were getting interesting, Beckham said something that caught everyone off guard. The anticipation had been building for days. Meghan's rumored invite was already setting the press on fire, and royal watchers were eager to see whether David Beckham would break his usual diplomatic silence. The answer came in a moment that was as brief as it was explosive. It happened during a press interaction just after the knighthood ceremony. Beckham, still in his tailored suit, medal pinned proudly, was approached by a cluster of journalists. They threw out questions about his honor, about football, about his family. Then one reporter leaned in with the question that cut through the noise. "Have you spoken with Meghan Markle about her invitation?" Beckham paused. A smile flickered on his lips, but it wasn't the polished grin of a man rehearsing his lines. He chuckled, shook his head lightly, and with a playful shrug, said the words that ricocheted across headlines. "I don't know her." The delivery mattered just as much as the words. His tone was light, tinged with amusement rather than hostility. There was laughter, both from Beckham and those standing nearby, as if the remark was part joke, part deflection. He didn't seem angry, nor did he look uncomfortable. If anything, he looked like a man brushing away an awkward subject with humor. But in the world of royalty and celebrity, even a laugh can be loaded. Was he genuinely making a joke, suggesting that he and Meghan had little to no personal relationship? Or was it a carefully chosen phrase, designed to create distance while keeping things light? His body language, relaxed shoulders, quick grin, easy dismissal, suggested a man who didn't want to dwell on the topic. Yet the very fact that he said it, rather than dodging with the classic "no comment," left the room buzzing. Within hours, tabloids seized on the remark. Headlines screamed, "Beckham dismisses Meghan," and "Sir David's royal shade." Television panels debated whether Beckham was being cheeky or cold. Social media lit up with memes, GIFs, and endless commentary. To some, his response was hilarious, a blunt, footballer's way of cutting through drama. To others, it was an insult, a deliberate attempt to distance himself from Meghan at a moment when she least expected it. Pundits dug deeper. Royal watchers argued that Beckham's words carried more weight than they seemed. He had just been knighted, a moment that bound him closer to the crown. Catherine, Princess of Wales, had been by his side, cementing his ties to the senior royals. In that context, his comment sounded less like a joke and more like a line in the sand. Beckham was firmly in the Windsor camp, not the Sussex one. Of course, motivations are always difficult to parse. Some suggested Beckham was simply protecting his privacy, not wanting to be dragged into speculation about royal rifts. Others saw frustration. Perhaps he was tired of being used as a pawn in royal-adjacent drama. And then there was the simplest explanation. He truly didn't know Meghan on a personal level, despite attending the same events years ago. Still, not everyone was convinced that the moment was spontaneous. Whispers began to circulate that Beckham's comment might not have been off the cuff at all. Some insiders suggested it was planned, a subtle but deliberate message, rehearsed in advance to ensure there was no ambiguity about where Beckham stood, Catherine's presence, controversies, and misunderstandings. While Beckham's remarks stole the headlines, Catherine's presence at the ceremony was no less significant. In many ways, she embodied the official side of the occasion, representing the monarchy's seal of approval. Her attendance was not accidental, it was symbolic. Catherine has long been associated with the careful diplomacy of the royal family. Her role at Beckham's ceremony was to underscore the connection between the monarchy and one of Britain's most beloved cultural figures. For Beckham, being knighted was a personal triumph. For Catherine, standing alongside him was a gesture of continuity and recognition. But what did her presence imply in relation to Meghan? That's where the optics became fascinating. Catherine's body language told its own story. She smiled warmly when Beckham rose from his knighthood, applauded at the right moments, and carried herself with her trademark elegance. But the subtle cues, leaning in slightly when speaking with Beckham, exchanging quick glances of camaraderie, spoke to a closeness that went beyond formality. These were not two strangers politely acknowledging each other. They were familiar allies, each representing their sphere of influence, standing comfortably together. Contrast that with Beckham's cheeky, almost dismissive tone when Meghan's name surfaced. The juxtaposition was striking, Catherine radiating poise, Beckham deploying humor and deflection. It was almost as though Catherine's presence gave Beckham the confidence to make his remark without fear of fallout. With her at his side, His loyalty was clear. Media analysts jumped on the contrast. Catherine, ever the diplomat, represented the monarchy's official stance: quiet dignity. No direct engagement in controversy. Beckham, newly knighted, could afford to be more playful, but his jokes still reinforced the narrative of distance from Meghan. Together, their personas created a two-pronged message. Catherine embodied the crown's restraint. Beckham voiced the public's laughter. Yet the story didn't end there. As the dust settled, one question lingered. What exactly did Beckham mean? Was "I don't know her" to be taken literally? An honest statement of unfamiliarity, or was it rhetorical? A clever way of stepping away from a subject he didn't want to touch. The literal interpretation would suggest that Beckham and Meghan have never truly met in a personal capacity. Sure, they've attended the same royal weddings, and they move in overlapping circles of fame and philanthropy. But sharing a room does not equal sharing a bond. In that sense, Beckham may have been absolutely correct. He doesn't know Meghan, at least not beyond a nod or handshake in passing. Adding to the confusion were potential mix-ups and misquotes. Several commentators pointed out that Beckham had indeed attended Meghan and Harry's wedding in 2018, and Meghan and Harry were reportedly at Beckham's son, Brooklyn's wedding, years later. Did Beckham truly not know her? Or was he using the phrase to suggest unfamiliarity rather than denial of acquaintance? Others noted that Beckham and Meghan may have interacted briefly through mutual charities. But brief encounters don't always translate to friendship or even recognition. This, ultimately, revealed something deeper about etiquette in royal and celebrity circles. Relationships are often described in layers: acquaintances, allies, friends, confidants. Saying, "I don't know her," might simply have meant that Beckham never moved past the first layer with Meghan, and that in the politics of high society, those distinctions matter. To the public, his words felt dismissive. To insiders, it might have been accurate shorthand. But here's where things get even more complicated. Royal etiquette demands subtlety, and sometimes what is left unsaid carries as much weight as what is spoken aloud. By choosing humor and deflection over silence, Beckham may have inadvertently fueled the narrative he wanted to avoid. Instead of staying above the fray, he became part of it. For Meghan, the consequences are different. Beckham's "I don't know her" could be interpreted as another public distancing, a reminder that even within elite circles, her ties are fraying. In an era when she and Prince Harry are carefully managing their brand from California, such a remark can sting, especially when it comes from a figure as globally respected as Beckham. Her silence or response will carry weight. Ignoring it may look like dignity, but addressing it could spark another round of headlines. Either way, her name remains in the story, tethered to a royal-adjacent event she wasn't physically part of. Do you think Beckham's remark will affect his relationship with Meghan and Harry in the future? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You'll love it.